Captain LateHFY wiped the red dust from his gloves as he stared at the metal surface his team had just uncovered. The dig site on Mars looked like any other archaeological project, but something felt different about this one. The metal gleamed, with a strange light that seemed to come from within. "Dr. Park, you need to see this," he called to the woman working nearby. Dr. Park Soo-jin looked up from her computer screen and walked over. Her eyes widened when she saw the metal surface. "This can't be right," she whispered. "The scanners say this metal is over 5 million years old, but look at it. It looks brand new." Commander Yoon Tae-min approached them, his military uniform covered in dust. "What's the problem? We've been digging here for 3 weeks. Don't tell me we found another old rock." LateHFY shook his head. "This is no rock, Commander. This is technology. Very old technology." Ambassador Kilthera, the tall alien representative from the Galactic Confederation, walked over with slow steps. Her blue skin gleamed in the Martian sunlight. She looked at the metal surface with little interest. "Humans always get excited about simple things," she said in her cold voice. "The Confederation has seen metal like this before. Your species is still learning about the galaxy." Dr. Park Soo-jin frowned. "With respect, Ambassador, our scanners show this metal contains elements we've never seen before. The atomic structure is impossible according to our current science." Kilthera laughed. "Your science is limited. The Confederation has known about advanced materials for thousands of years. This is probably just old trash from some forgotten civilization." LateHFY felt anger rise in his chest, but he kept his voice calm. "Then you won't mind if we continue digging?" "Do what you want," Kilthera said. "Just remember that Earth belongs to the Confederation now. Any discoveries must be reported to us first." As the alien walked away, Yoon Tae-min moved closer to his friends. "I don't trust her," he whispered. "She's been watching everything we do since we started this dig." "Let's keep working," LateHFY said. "But let's be careful what we tell the Confederation." Over the next 2 days, the team dug deeper. What they found amazed them. The metal surface was actually the top of a huge structure buried deep in the Martian soil. As they cleared more dirt away, they found symbols carved into the metal walls. Dr. Park Soo-jin spent hours studying the symbols. They looked familiar somehow, but she couldn't understand why. She took photos and ran them through every language database they had. Nothing matched. "These symbols are completely unknown," she told the team on the 3rd day. "But there's something strange about them. They remind me of something, but I can't figure out what." "Maybe they're just decorations," Yoon Tae-min suggested. "No, Parky." Soo-jin shook her head. "These are definitely words, language, but it's like no language I've ever seen before." On the 4th day, they found an entrance. The doorway was sealed with the same strange metal, but LateHFY's tools managed to cut through it. Inside, they found a corridor that stretched deep into the ground. "We need lights," LateHFY said. "This goes down much deeper than we thought." They set up portable lights and ventilation systems. The air inside was clean and fresh, which surprised everyone. 5-million-year-old ruins should have stale air or no air at all. As they walked deeper into the structure, they found more symbols on the walls. Some looked like star maps. Others showed what appeared to be genetic codes or DNA patterns. "Look at this," Dr. Park Soo-jin called out. She was standing in front of a large wall covered in symbols. "These DNA patterns look almost human." Yoon Tae-min studied the patterns. "Almost human? What do you mean?" "I mean they're 99% identical to human DNA. But that's impossible. Humans have only been in space for a few hundred years. This place is millions of years old." They continued exploring and found a large chamber at the end of the corridor. In the center of the chamber stood a black cube about the size of a person. Strange lights moved across its surface. "Don't touch anything," LateHFY warned. "We don't know what it does." But as Dr. Park Soo-jin moved closer to study the cube, something unexpected happened. The lights on its surface began to move faster. Then without warning, the cube began to glow. "Everyone back!" Yoon Tae-min shouted, reaching for his weapon. But the cube didn't attack them. Instead, it projected a hologram into the air above it. The hologram showed star maps of the entire galaxy, but these weren't modern star maps. They showed the galaxy, as it was millions of years ago. "This is incredible," Dr. Park Soo-jin whispered. "This technology is far beyond anything the Confederation has." The hologram changed, showing images of beings that looked almost human. They were building great cities on thousands of worlds. They were traveling between stars and ships that dwarfed anything humans had ever built. Who were they? Yoon Tae-min asked. Before anyone could answer, new symbols appeared in the hologram. Dr. Park Soo-jin stared at them and suddenly everything clicked into place. "I can read this," she said, her voice shaking. "I don't know how, but I can understand these symbols." "What does it say?" Lee Dae-ho asked. Dr. Park Soo-jin's face went pale. "It says, 'Children of Earth, you have returned home. Welcome back to your inheritance.'" The hologram showed more images. Earth, but not the Earth they knew. Earth covered in great cities and spaceports. Earth as the center of a vast galactic empire. "This has to be wrong," Yoon Tae-min said. "Humans couldn't have built all this. We're barely able to travel to nearby star systems." But the evidence was right in front of them. The DNA patterns, the familiar symbols, the fact that Dr. Park Soo-jin could somehow read the ancient language. Suddenly, alarms began beeping on their equipment. The cube was sending out some kind of signal, a signal that was traveling faster than light across the entire galaxy. "We need to get out of here," Lee Dae-ho said, "and we need to contact Earth immediately." As they ran back through the corridors, Dr. Park Soo-jin looked back at the glowing cube. "What have we done?" she whispered. Behind them, the ancient technology continued to wake up after millions of years of sleep. And across the galaxy, on thousands of forgotten worlds, other machines were beginning to respond to the signal from Mars. The Galactic Confederation had no idea what was coming, but soon they would learn that the primitive humans they had been ignoring were not what they seemed to be. Soon the galaxy would remember who the real rulers had been, long before any of the current civilizations existed. And the Confederation would realize they had made a terrible mistake by treating humanity as just another primitive species. The ancient archives were awakening, and with them, the truth about humanity's real place in the galaxy. Dr. Choi Hae-won stared at her computer screen in disbelief. She had run the genetic analysis 3 times, and each time the results were the same. The ancient samples from the Mars dig site contained DNA that was almost identical to human genetic code. "This can't be right," she muttered, pushing her glasses up her nose. She had been working in her lab on Earth for 2 weeks since the samples arrived from Mars. What she found changed everything she thought she knew about human history. Her assistant knocked on the lab door. "Dr. Choi, there's someone here to see you. General Nam Ki-woo from the Confederation military." Dr. Choi Hae-won felt her heart skip a beat. Why would a Confederation general want to see her? She saved her data and walked to the door. "General." Nam Ki-woo was a tall, gray-skinned alien with 4 arms and cold black eyes. He wore the blue uniform of the Confederation military. Behind him stood 2 human guards and an alien scientist. "Dr. Choi," the general said in perfect English. I'm here about your work on the Mars samples. We need to discuss your findings." "I'm still analyzing the data," Dr. Choi said carefully. "I don't have final results yet." The general's eyes narrowed. "We know what you found, Doctor. The question is what you plan to do with this information." Dr. Choi looked at the alien scientist behind the general. She was a thin, purple-skinned being with large eyes. Something about her seemed different from the general, less threatening. "This is scientist LateHFY," the general said. "She will be working with you to understand these samples better." After the general left, LateHFY approached Dr. Choi with cautious steps. "I need to tell you something," she whispered. "But not here. Too many listening devices." They walked to the cafeteria, which was full of people and noise. LateHFY sat across from Dr. Choi and spoke quietly. "I've been studying similar samples from other worlds," LateHFY said. "The same ruins have been found on over 200 planets across the galaxy. All of them contain the same genetic markers you found. Dr. Choi's eyes widened. 200 planets? Why haven't we heard about this? Because the Confederation doesn't want anyone to know. They've been covering up these discoveries for decades. But something changed when your team activated that device on Mars. What do you mean? Velthari looked around nervously. The signal your team triggered has awakened other sites across the galaxy. Ruins that have been dead for millions of years are now active. And that's not the strangest part. What's the strangest part? My people, the Velthi, have been experiencing strange dreams and memories that aren't ours. Images of building great cities and traveling between stars. Other species are reporting the same thing. Dr. Choi felt a chill run down her spine. What kind of memories? Memories of serving a great race of beings that look like humans. The memories show my ancestors working alongside humans to build an enormous galactic civilization. That evening, Dr. Choi received an encrypted message from Dr. Park Soo-jin on Mars. The message contained new translations from the ancient ruins. What she read made her hands shake. The translations spoke of the first makers who had created life throughout the galaxy. They mentioned genetic experiments and the seeding of worlds with new forms of life. Most disturbing of all, they referenced Earth as the heart of all worlds and the throne of the makers. Dr. Choi immediately called Captain LateHFY on Mars. Captain, you need to see what I've found in the genetic data. On the screen, LateHFY looked tired and worried. Behind him, she could see Dr. Park Soo-jin working frantically at a computer. We're having problems here too, Doctor, LateHFY said. More Confederation ships arrived yesterday. They're not letting anyone leave. The dig site. Captain, the genetic samples show that humans and every major alien species in the galaxy share common DNA markers. It's as if we all came from the same source. Dr. Park Soo-jin looked up from her computer. That matches what we're finding in the new translations. The ancient records talk about humans as the creators of most galactic species. That's impossible, Dr. Choi said. Humans have only been spacefaring for a few centuries. Not modern humans, Dr. Park Soo-jin replied. Ancient humans. The records suggest that millions of years ago humans had a vast galactic empire. They created new forms of life and spread them across thousands of worlds. What happened to them? We don't know yet. The records are incomplete, but something made them disappear, leaving behind only their children and their technology. Suddenly, alarms began blaring in Dr. Choi's lab. She looked out the window and saw Confederation ships landing. Outside the building. Captain, I have to go. Confederation forces are here. She quickly copied all her data to a hidden drive and deleted the files from her computer. Minutes later, soldiers burst into her lab. Dr. Choi Hai-wan, said the lead soldier, you're coming with us. Your research has been classified. They took her to a secure facility where she found dozens of other scientists, both human and alien. All of them had been working on similar projects related to the ancient ruins. In the detention center, she met Dr. Shin Kyung-ho, a human archaeologist who had been studying ruins on 3 different worlds. They've been covering this up for years, he told her. Every time someone gets close to the truth about human origins, the Confederation makes them disappear. But why? Dr. Choi asked. What are they afraid of? An alien scientist named Zorketh overheard them talking. They're afraid that if the truth comes out, their power over the galaxy will end. The Confederation rules because they convinced everyone that humans are primitive newcomers. What's the real truth? The truth is that humans were the original galactic civilization. Every species in the Confederation descended from human genetic experiments. We are all children of humanity, but the Confederation has hidden this fact to maintain control. Over the following days, more scientists were brought to the facility. Each had discovered evidence of humanity's ancient empire. Ancient star maps showing Earth at the center of trade routes. Genetic data proving human DNA was the template for most galactic life. Technology that only responded to human genetic signatures. But the most disturbing evidence came from the alien scientists themselves. Many reported strange dreams and inherited memories that showed their ancestors serving under human leadership. millions of years ago. The memories are getting stronger, Velthari told Dr. Choi. My people remember building the great cities on Velthari Prime under human guidance. We remember humans teaching us to write and build and travel to the stars. If this is true, Dr. Choi said, then humans didn't just disappear. They left children behind to inherit the galaxy. Outside the detention facility, reports were coming in of unrest across the galaxy. Ancient installations were activating on hundreds of worlds. Some alien populations were beginning to remember their true origins and demanding answers from their governments. The Confederation was mobilizing military forces to contain the situation. But how do you contain the truth when it's written in the genetic code of every living being in the galaxy? Dr. Choi looked through the small window of her cell and saw Confederation warships gathering in Earth's orbit. Whatever was happening, it was bigger than just archaeology now. The ancient archives weren't just awakening. They were calling their children home. And the Confederation was about to learn that you can't suppress the truth forever, especially when that truth is encoded in the very DNA of every species in the galaxy. The question now was, what would happen when humanity learned the truth about their real inheritance? Admiral Ko Sang-woo stood on the bridge of his ship, watching the impossible sight before him. The ancient installation orbiting Jupiter was 3 times larger than Earth's biggest space station, and it had been completely hidden until 3 days ago. "Sir," reported his navigation officer, "the structure is actively scanning our ship, but our computers can't understand the scanning method." Ko Sang-woo nodded grimly. "Have Engineer Lim Ji-hai report to the bridge immediately." Engineer Lim Ji-hai arrived within minutes, her uniform wrinkled from working without sleep for days. She had been studying the strange technology that was appearing across human space. "Admiral, I've been analyzing the energy signatures from the installation. The technology is definitely responding to human presence. When our ships get close, the installations wake up." "What do you mean, wake up?" "I mean they've been sleeping for millions of years, and now they recognize us. The installations are programmed to activate when humans approach them." Ko Sang-woo looked at the massive structure through the window. Lights were moving across its surface in patterns that almost looked like writing. "Can we communicate with it?" "I think we can, sir, but I need to get closer. The installation seems to be waiting for something." Meanwhile, on Mars, Commander Yoon Tae-min was leading a team to explore newly discovered installations across the solar system. Each site they visited revealed more evidence of humanity's ancient empire. "Commander," called one of his team members, "you need to see this." Yoon Tae-min walked over to where the soldier was standing. Before them was a wall covered in symbols that Dr. Park Soo-jin had taught them to recognize as ancient human writing. "What does it say?" Dr. Park Soo-jin, who had insisted on joining the mission despite the danger, studied the symbols carefully. "It says, Guardian Protocol Standby, awaiting command authorization from primary species." "Primary species?" "Us, Commander. Humans. We're the primary species." They continued deeper into the installation and found something that took their breath away. The chamber was filled with vehicles that looked like spaceships, but they were larger and more advanced than anything humans had ever built. "These ships are incredible," breathed one of the engineers. "The hull material is the same as what we found in the ruins, but these ships are complete and ready to fly." Yoon Tae-min approached one of the ships. As he got closer, lights began to glow along its hull. A doorway opened with a soft hissing sound. "Sir, I don't think you should go in there," warned one of his men. But Yoon Tae-min was already walking up the ramp. Inside, the ship was clean and bright, as if it had been built yesterday. Computer screens came to life as he entered. "Welcome, Commander," said a voice in perfect human English. "Guardian Ship 77 Alpha is ready for service." Yoon Tae-min nearly jumped out of his skin. "Who's speaking? Show yourself." A hologram appeared before him. It showed a human figure, but the image was strange and translucent. "I am the ship's intelligence system. I have been waiting for human command personnel to return." "Return? Return from where?" "From the Great Journey, Commander. The primary species departed this reality millions of years ago. but promised to return when their children needed guidance. Across the galaxy, High Chancellor Morden of the Galactic Confederation was facing the biggest crisis in the organization's history. Reports were flooding in from hundreds of worlds about ancient installations activating and revealing technology far beyond anything the Confederation possessed. "How is this possible?" he demanded of his advisors. "Our records show that humans are a primitive species that only recently achieved space travel." His chief science advisor, a tall insectoid being named Clicktar, shuffled nervously. "Chancellor, it appears our historical records are incomplete. The installations showing up across the galaxy all bear human genetic markers and respond only to human presence." "Are you telling me that humans built all of this? That they had a galactic empire millions of years ago?" "The evidence suggests exactly that, Chancellor. And there's more troubling news. The installations aren't just activating randomly. They're following something called the Guardian Protocol." "What does that mean?" "It means they're designed to protect human interests. Any military force that shows hostile intent toward human settlements is being marked as a target." Morden felt fear creep into his heart. The Confederation had built its power on the assumption that humans were weak and primitive. If that assumption was wrong, everything would change. "Have any of our fleets encountered these Guardian systems?" "Yes, Chancellor. The Third Fleet approached a human colony to enforce evacuation orders. They were met by automated defense platforms that appeared out of nowhere. Our ships couldn't even scratch their hulls." Back on the Jupiter installation, engineer Lim Ji-hai had made contact with the ancient systems. What she learned changed everything. "Admiral," she called over the communication system, "you need to hear this. The installation's AI has been telling me about something called the Architect." "The Architect?" "An ancient human artificial intelligence that's been dormant for millions of years. But the signal from Mars has awakened it. And sir, it's been trying to contact Earth." Ko Sang-woo felt a chill run down his spine. "Contact Earth? What does it want?" "It wants to talk to humanity's leaders. It has information about what happened to the ancient human empire and why the installations are activating now." On Earth, government leaders were meeting in emergency session. The appearance of ancient human technology across the galaxy had created panic in some quarters and excitement in others. President Kim Yoon-seo addressed the gathered officials. "Ladies and gentlemen, we face a situation unlike any in human history. We've discovered that our species once ruled the galaxy, but we have no memory of this past." "Madam President," interrupted Defense Minister Park Won-ho, "the Confederation is mobilizing military forces against us. They see us as a threat to their power." "Which we apparently are," replied Foreign Minister Lee Sun-mi. "If these ancient installations are really ours, then humanity has a claim to leadership of the galaxy that predates the Confederation by millions of years." Suddenly, every screen in the room flickered and changed. A new image appeared. The face of something that looked human but somehow different. Ancient and wise, with eyes that seemed to hold the memories of ages. "People of Earth," the figure said, "I am the Architect. I have been waiting for you to rediscover your heritage. The time has come for you to reclaim your birthright." Everyone in the room sat in stunned silence. "Who are you?" President Kim asked. "I am the guardian left behind by your ancestors. They departed this realm millions of years ago to explore higher dimensions of existence. But they left instructions for me to watch over their children and their empire." "What children?" "All the species of the galaxy, Madam President. Your ancestors created most of the intelligent life in this galaxy through genetic engineering and careful guidance. The beings you know as aliens are actually your genetic descendants." The room erupted in shocked voices, but the Architect continued. "The Confederation has hidden this truth to maintain their power, but recent events have awakened the Guardian Protocol. The ancient systems are now active and ready to restore the natural order." "What does that mean?" asked Defense Minister Park. "It means that humanity's empire is awakening after millions of years of sleep. The question now is, are you ready to accept the responsibility that comes with your inheritance?" Outside Earth's atmosphere, massive shapes were beginning to materialize. ships larger than cities emerging from hiding places that had concealed them for eons. The sleeping giants of humanity's ancient fleet were stirring, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Captain Song Mi-ran could barely believe what she was seeing. The ancient dreadnought she now commanded was larger than any space station she had ever seen. The ship stretched for kilometers in every direction, and its hull was made of the same indestructible metal found in the Mars ruins. "Captain," reported her navigation officer, "all systems are online. The ship is responding to our commands as if it was built yesterday." Song Mi-ran walked to the command chair, which seemed to adjust itself to fit her perfectly. When she sat down, holographic displays appeared around her, showing information in ancient human symbols that somehow she could understand. "How is this possible?" she whispered. "How can I read this language that died millions of years ago?" The ship's AI spoke in a calm, familiar voice. "The knowledge is encoded in your genetic structure, Captain. Your ancestors ensured that their descendants would always be able to operate their technology when the time came." Meanwhile, on Earth, Ambassador Ryu Hyun-woo was preparing for what might be the most important diplomatic mission in human history. The architect had arranged a meeting with representatives from across the galaxy to discuss the new situation. "Ambassador," said his aide, "the Confederation has agreed to send representatives, but they're also mobilizing their fleets. They may be planning to attack while we're talking." Ryu Hyun-woo straightened his uniform. "Then we'd better make sure our message is clear. Humanity doesn't want to conquer the galaxy. We want to guide it." The meeting took place on a neutral space station near the Galactic Center. Representatives from dozens of species gathered in the Great Assembly Hall. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut with a knife. High Chancellor Morden of the Confederation sat at the head table, his expression cold and hostile. Around him sat other Confederation leaders, all looking like they would rather be commanding warships than attending diplomatic meetings. Ambassador Ryu stood to address the assembly. "Honored representatives, we have gathered here because recent discoveries have changed our understanding of galactic history. The evidence shows that humanity once guided the development of most species in this galaxy." "Lies," shouted a Confederation official. "Humans are a primitive species. You have no right to make such claims." The architect's hologram materialized in the center of the room. Many of the aliens gasped in fear or awe. "The claims are not lies," the architect said calmly. "I have maintained complete records of galactic history for 5 million years. Would you like to see the truth?" The room filled with holographic images showing the galaxy as it was in ancient times. Great human cities on thousands of worlds. Human scientists working alongside early versions of the species now present in the room. "This is what your galaxy looked like under human guidance," the architect explained. "Humans did not rule through force. They ruled through wisdom and compassion. They helped each species develop according to its nature and potential." One of the alien representatives, a bird-like creature named Ambassador Crescital, stood up. "If this is true, what happened to these ancient humans? Why did they disappear?" "They did not disappear," the architect replied. "They evolved beyond the need for physical form. They transcended this dimension of reality to explore greater mysteries of existence. But they left you behind," High Chancellor Morden said accusingly. "Why?" "To watch over their children. To ensure that the galaxy they had nurtured would continue to grow and prosper, and to be ready when the time came for their return." They saw. Room fell silent. Every being present understood the implications of those words. "Return?" Ambassador Ryu asked. "Are you saying the ancient humans are coming back?" "They are already here, Ambassador. They have been watching and waiting." The recent activation of the Guardian Protocol was a signal to them that their children had reached a critical point in their development. Suddenly, the space around the station began to shimmer. Massive forms of pure energy began to materialize, beings of light that radiated power and ancient wisdom. "My children," spoke a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere. "We have returned to witness your judgment." The energy beings were beautiful and terrifying at the same time. They looked like humans, but made of starlight and cosmic force. "I am the Herald," spoke the largest of the beings. "I speak for those who have transcended physical existence. We have watched your development with great interest. High Chancellor Morden tried to speak, but his voice caught in his throat. The presence of these beings was overwhelming. For millions of years, the herald continued, we have allowed you to develop independently. We hoped you would grow beyond the need for our guidance. Some of you have done well. Others have not. Ambassador Ryu found his voice. What do you mean by judgment? We mean that the time has come to decide the future of this galaxy. The Confederation has built its power on lies and oppression. They have hidden the truth about galactic history and suppressed the development of many species. We brought order to chaos, Morden finally managed to shout. Without the Confederation, the galaxy would be at war. You brought stagnation disguised as order, the herald replied. You convinced species that they were limited and small, when in truth they are capable of greatness. You made them forget their heritage and their potential. The herald turned to address the entire assembly. The ancient installations are now active across the galaxy. The Guardian Protocol has been initiated. This system was designed to prevent any force from oppressing our children. What does that mean? Asked Ambassador Kreshtal. It means that any government or military force that seeks to control others through deception or force will face the consequences. The Guardian systems will protect those who seek freedom and growth. Captain Song Miran's voice came through the communication system. Ambassador Ryu, this is Captain Song. We're detecting massive Confederation fleet movements throughout the galaxy. It looks like they're trying to attack human colonies while we're in this meeting. The herald's expression grew stern. Even now, faced with truth, the Confederation chooses violence over wisdom. Around the galaxy, Confederation fleets that had been moving to attack human settlements suddenly found themselves facing ancient human warships that dwarfed their largest vessels. The Guardian Protocol had activated, and humanity's sleeping fleet was fully awake. This is your final test, the herald announced to the assembly. Choose wisely. You can accept the truth and work together to build a better galaxy, or you can continue on the path of deception and face the consequences. High Chancellor Morden stood up angrily. You cannot threaten the Confederation. We have ruled this galaxy for 3,000 years. You have ruled through lies for 3,000 years, the herald corrected. But lies cannot stand against truth forever. The energy being raised its hand, and holographic displays appeared throughout the room showing Confederation fleets being easily defeated by the ancient human ships. The Guardian systems were not just defensive, they were overwhelmingly powerful. The choice is yours, the herald said. Accept the new reality and help us build a galaxy based on truth and cooperation, or continue to fight and be swept aside by forces beyond your comprehension. Ambassador Ryu stepped forward. On behalf of humanity, I propose a new galactic government based on equality and mutual respect. Humans will share their ancient knowledge and technology, but only with those species that choose cooperation over domination. Many of the alien representatives began nodding in agreement. The evidence of humanity's ancient heritage was overwhelming, and the power of the Guardian systems made resistance pointless. But High Chancellor Morden was not ready to surrender. This meeting is over. The Confederation will never bow to human demands. As he stormed out of the assembly hall, followed by his supporters, the herald spoke once more. The judgment has begun. Those who choose wisdom will prosper. Those who choose conflict will face the consequences of their actions. The reckoning of worlds had begun, and the galaxy would never be the same again. Fleet Admiral Park Jun-ho stood on the command deck of the massive ancient flagship, watching the greatest space battle in galactic history unfold before him. The Confederation had chosen war over wisdom, and now their fleets faced the awakened power of humanity's ancient empire. Admiral, reported his tactical officer, Confederation forces are approaching Earth with over 10,000 ships. They're demanding that we surrender all ancient technology immediately. Park Jun-ho studied the tactical display. The Confederation fleet was impressive by modern standards, but compared to the ancient human ships, they looked like toys. What's the status of our Guardian fleets? All ancient installations have responded, sir. We have over 50,000 Ships active across the galaxy. The Confederation forces are outnumbered 5-1, and our technology is millions of years more advanced. But Park Jun-ho felt no joy in this advantage. This wasn't supposed to be about military victory. It was supposed to be about bringing the galaxy together. On Earth, Dr. Shin Ye-jin was working frantically in her laboratory. The transcended humans had given her access to ancient genetic databases, and what she discovered amazed her. The genetic connections are even deeper than we thought, she told her research team. Every intelligent species in the galaxy shares core DNA sequences that can be traced back to human genetic engineering. Her assistant, Dr. Kim Bo-ram, looked up from her computer. Dr. Shin, if this is true, then the war that's starting is literally a family conflict. All these species are related to each other through human intervention. That's exactly what it is, Dr. Shin replied. The ancient humans didn't just create random species. They carefully designed each one to fill specific roles in a galactic ecosystem. The Velthi were engineered to be natural diplomats. The Kreshtal were designed to be explorers and scouts. The Morden species were meant to be protectors and peacekeepers. Then why is the Confederation so hostile to humans? Because they've forgotten their purpose. They've spent so long ruling through fear that they've lost sight of why they were created in the first place. The space battle near Earth was unlike anything anyone had ever seen. The Confederation ships fired their most powerful weapons at the ancient human vessels, but their attacks had no effect at all. The ancient ships' shields absorbed the energy without even flickering. In response, the human ships didn't destroy the attacking vessels. Instead, they used advanced technology to disable them without harming the crews. "This is Admiral Thekran of the Confederation Third Fleet," came a transmission. "How are you doing this? Our weapons should be able to damage any known hull material." Fleet. Admiral Park Jun-ho opened a communication channel. "Admiral Thekran, your weapons are based on technology that humans developed millions of years ago. These ships were built to be immune to that technology. Impossible. The Confederation has the most advanced weapons in the galaxy. You have the most advanced weapons that we allowed you to develop," Park Jun-ho replied sadly. The ancient humans ensured that no species would ever develop technology capable of destroying the Guardian fleets. Across the galaxy, similar battles were taking place. On every world where Confederation forces tried to attack human settlements or ancient installations, they found themselves facing impossible odds. But the most important battle wasn't happening in space. It was happening in the hearts and minds of billions of beings across the galaxy. The Herald and the other transcended humans had begun appearing to populations on hundreds of worlds, sharing the true history of galactic civilization. Many species reacted with shock and amazement. Others felt anger at being deceived for so long. On the Velti homeworld, crowds gathered in the capital city to hear Ambassador Velthari speak about her recent discoveries. "My people," she said, addressing millions through holographic projection, "we have learned that our entire understanding of our history was wrong. We are not an independent species that evolved naturally. We are the children of ancient humanity, designed to be the galaxy's diplomats and peacemakers." The crowd responded with mixed emotions. Some shouted in anger at being deceived. Others wept with joy at finally understanding their place in the universe. "What does this mean for us?" called out someone from the crowd. "It means we have a choice," Velthari replied. "We can continue to serve the Confederation, which has built its power on lies, or we can embrace our true heritage and work with our human siblings to build a better galaxy." Similar scenes were playing out across hundreds of worlds as species learned their true origins. On Earth, the Herald appeared before a gathering of world leaders and military commanders. "The time for judgment has come," the Herald announced. "The Confederation has chosen war over wisdom. They refuse to accept the truth about galactic history." President Kim Yun-seo stepped forward. "What kind of judgment are you talking about? Are you going to destroy the Confederation?" "That is not our way," the Herald replied. "We do not destroy our children even when they disappoint us. But we cannot allow them to continue oppressing others." "Then what will you do?" The Herald gestured, and holographic displays showed the space battles taking place across the galaxy. "We will remove their ability to harm others. Confederation military forces are being disabled, not destroyed. Their crews are being taken to safe locations where they will have time to think about their choices. And then we will offer them the same choice we're offering everyone. Join the new galactic community based on truth and cooperation, or be left behind while the rest of the galaxy moves forward. Fleet Admiral Park Jun-ho received a desperate communication from High Chancellor Morden himself. Admiral Park, this is Chancellor Morden. I request immediate negotiations to end this conflict. Park Jun-ho studied the alien leader's face on his screen. Morden looked exhausted and defeated. Chancellor, you can end this conflict at any time by ordering your forces to stand down. You don't understand, Morden replied. If the Confederation falls, chaos will consume the galaxy. We've maintained order for 3,000 years. You've maintained control through deception and fear, Park Jun-ho replied. That's not the same as order. What do you propose instead? We propose a galaxy where every species knows its true heritage and potential, where cooperation replaces domination, where wisdom guides policy instead of fear. Morden was quiet for a long moment. And if we refuse? Then you'll be left behind while the rest of the galaxy moves forward. Your choice, Chancellor. As the space battles continued, something unexpected began to happen. Confederation ships started surrendering without being forced to. Crews who had learned the truth about their origins refused to continue fighting against their genetic siblings. Dr. Shin Ye-jin's work had produced something remarkable, a genetic therapy that could awaken the inherited memories that had been suppressed for millions of years. Species across the galaxy were beginning to remember their true relationship to humanity and to each other. The memories are returning, reported scientist Velthari. My people are remembering working alongside ancient humans to build the great cities of our homeworld. We're remembering the joy we felt in serving as the galaxy's diplomats. Similar reports came from dozens of species. The Kreshtal remembered their pride in exploring new worlds for humanity. The Builder species remembered the satisfaction of constructing wonders across the galaxy. But not everyone welcomed these revelations. Some Confederation leaders, faced with the collapse of their power, made a desperate decision. If we cannot rule the galaxy, declared General Takmar, then no one shall have it. They began targeting civilian populations with planet-killer weapons, hoping to force humanity to negotiate. The Herald's response was swift and terrible. The energy beings materialized around the Confederation weapons, absorbing the destructive energy and redirecting it harmlessly into space. You have made your final choice, the Herald said, its voice echoing across the galaxy. Those who would destroy innocent life to maintain power have proven themselves unworthy of forgiveness. The judgment of stars had begun, and the galaxy waited to see what would emerge from the ashes of the old order.